Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. I have with me jokester for today, Venu, Usher from Cricket4Us 2.0, and Arangan. I hope you guys are all good. We've talked before, so it's okay. They are all good. I'm just doing it for the sake of this video. Let's move on straight to England versus Sri Lanka, day one of the second test. Sri Lanka 1-0 down in the series. They actually ended up batting first after winning the toss. A couple of changes. So a test debut for Ramesh Mendez, who slotted in. Also, they dropped Hasaranga and Shanaka and brought in Oshada Fernando. And also, who's going to play? Oh, Luckmal as well, who's a very experienced campaigner. So before we move on to the match, firstly, Venu, what do you think of the changes?
Yeah, I think it had to be done. Tiramani had to be in the side. Tiramani was always going to keep his place, but Mendes had to be dropped after his poor run of form. Good to see Oshada Fernando get a chance as well. Who were the other changes as well, Fazan?
So Shanaka and Hasaranga got dropped, and in came, as you said, Oshada Fernando, but also Luckmal, and Ramesh Mendez made his debut.
Yeah, so I haven't seen Ramesh Mendez, so
yeah, it's his debut. So
I'm hopefully better than Ramesh Raja, but so yeah, looking, and also good to see the experienced campaigner Luckmal. So yeah.
I'm sorry. Anyway, let's go to Arangan very briefly. What do you think of the changes? And did you agree with them? I guess is the biggest point.
Yeah, it's good to see Saranga Lakmal back in the side. Experienced team bowler. As Fanny said, I think they just need a little bit more dynamism, and it'll be exciting to see Mendes into the side. It'll be exciting to see what he brings to the team as well. And again, that second opener spot was never really nailed down, to be fair. So, but as I'm sure we found out today, there's still lots of work to be done.
Ashton, from an England point of view, because you're going to be my England correspondent for the day, only one change: Anderson out, Broad out, Anderson in. Looks like they're going to rotate them as we first thought, but no Ollie Stone coming in for Wood, like I thought they may do. And yeah, so no other changes apart from that. Did you agree with that, with those changes?
Well, yeah, it made sense. Yeah, it made sense because I think they are planning to rotate Anderson and Broad and bringing them in a couple of games. The thing is, they didn't bring in Ollie Stone because Ollie Stone's going to India for the first two tests, but Mark Wood isn't. And we'll get to how you can tell that Mark Wood isn't going to India because of that long spell that he got today. But barring that, I think it was a fairly good decision. I was happy with it personally.
Yep, that's fair enough. Okay, let's go into the nuts and bolts then of the day. Sri Lanka ending the day on 229 for 4 from 87 overs, a run rate of 2.63. Before we go into whose day it is, let's go and do a quick rundown of the wickets and the batsmen as well. So Tiramani opened up with Kusapera, as we know. 43 from Tiramani, who ended up, I think he looked quite good for that 43. But the first wicket to fall was Kusapera. Now, Kusapera, as Venu has rightly said to me on a number of occasions, has scored probably the best 100 he's probably ever seen against South Africa to win that test match, which is fair enough considering the position they were in at that time. I think it was a couple of years ago. And
I add, it's better than Ben Stokes' innings. Everyone talks about Ben Stokes' heroic innings.
There's a lot more exposure on that. I think that's
it's ridiculous. No one talks about Kusapera's one.
Yeah, that's fine. Maybe we'll do a video on that.
That's another, thank you.
Yeah, I feel like we could talk about that in quite a lot of depth. Why not? We'll do a comparison of the two innings. That's a good idea. Okay, and then we know how good he is, as I said, but went for 6 playing a... You know what? I'll go to you, Venu. What do you think of the shot?
To be honest, I was thinking, what planet was he on? And I was thinking, what universe was he on? Let's be honest. It was shocking. It was a shocking dismissal. Thinking Anderson was some sort of net bowler, in the Sri Lankan second team. But fair play taking Anderson on. But it was just silly at the start of the innings. It was ridiculous. And I thought, here we go again. we're going to get bowled out again for under 150, and it'd be game over. So fair play to Sri Lanka to bring it back. But shocking shot.
You know what? There's a fine line between calculated aggression and just this is like what I used to do a few years back when I used to play club cricket and I hadn't played in a bit of time, and I'd see a ball and I'd be like, that's, you know what, I'm smashing that out the ground for 6, but I wouldn't pick up the length properly and I'd just get bowled because I'd come down, head up in the air, trying to smash it over. And it just reminded me of that. I was watching it thinking, what is going on? And as you said, Venu, he almost played him as if he was some net bowler, like he wasn't going to get the ball to move. With the new ball, it doesn't matter what conditions, he will get some swing movement. He's just that skillful at Jimmy Anderson. And we saw how effective he was early doors. Arangan, you said it was good to see Ashada Fernando get a chance. I think Venu said that as well. But to be honest, he carried on Kusa Mendes' terrific form with a duck. He kind of looks like Kusa Mendes in disguise, to be honest with you. He dragged it onto his stumps. Anderson again, I think the commentators said it was a typical subcontinent dismissal. What do you think? I mean, there's a tad of misfortune there, but I think obviously he didn't play the right line. What do you think of that wicket?
I think at that point in the game, like Benny said, you just think, okay, here we go again. Wicket's starting to tumble. I always feel sorry for batsmen who play onto their stumps. It probably wasn't the right shot to play, in fairness. I'm sure he'll get a better chance in the second innings. Just going back to Cricket4Us dismissal, you get sort of frustrated when you see an opener just driving at one and then edging to the slips, let alone trying to smash one over the bowler's head. He's usually quite consistent for Sri Lanka, which is why I was surprised he got out like he did. But I think we'll probably see more of Fernando to come.
Yeah, so at 7 for 2, as you know, you and Venu both said, it looked like the collapse was inevitable. But to be fair to Tiramane and Angelo Mathews, they put on a good stand of nearly 70 or 69 in the end, and led them to lunch on 76 for 3. Straight after lunch, though, Anderson. It's funny, when you're in the field as someone who plays club cricket, we always say there's a wicket before lunch, or there's always a wicket after lunch, and there's that cliche that people use, and it kind of rang true here. Is Anderson trapped Tiramane? He didn't trap him. He nicked behind to Butler even. Anderson, and I thought Anderson bowled really well in early doors anyway. So before we go on to that wicket, we can go on to that wicket. Usher, what do you think, as someone who is a bowling lover, what do you think of Anderson's spell on those 3 wickets?
I thought Anderson was really good. To be honest, he just did exactly what Broad did in the previous innings, previous match, and continuing that opening bowler ability that England has for both of those guys to take wickets. He swung the ball, as all of you pointed out, early doors. But even after that, it was hard to get runs off him. I know for quite some time, his economy was about 1. I think later on, there was that 1-4 that he got smashed for, but barring that, he bowled really well. I think he bowled 10 maidens or something like that.
Yeah, he did.
So, at least he kept the runs, constricted the runs, didn't let them score too much. But afterwards, I know we were talking about it before, that yes, he wasn't taking wickets or giving runs away, but on the other end, someone else was. So he wasn't being as effective as someone like, if he had Broad at the other end, or if he had a better bowler to kind of help him out there. But I thought in general, James Anderson was really good, as he always is. I was actually, and I know we're going to touch on it, I was really impressed with Mark Wood. Yes, he got smashed a bit across the entire ground for a little while, but when he bowled that 8-over spell, I thought he looked really good. He was still hitting 91, 92 miles an hour. End of the day, bowling 8 overs on the trot, in your 7th over, he bowled a 147-kilometer delivery. So it was really impressive. And that one that just tailed in to get Chandemal out, was it Chandemal? I think it was Chandemal out, LBW. That was beautiful. He was getting the reverse swing the way that I thought maybe Anderson would, but Anderson didn't get as much because maybe it's the pace, maybe it's the length he was bowling, but because Mark Wood was trying to pitch the ball fuller, he got that reverse swing tailing into the right-hander, and he kind of he did what the Australians did to India a little while ago, just bouncing Chandemal and then bowling a Yorker, then bouncing him a couple of times, putting him on the back foot, and then bowling a fuller delivery. So I think he bowled really, really well.
Yeah, Anderson did bowl very, very well early doors, and I think, as you alluded to, bowled a very good line and length after that when he didn't get as much movement. He was a little bit less effective after that new ball, but the ball he bowled to Tiramani it was one round the wicket to the left-hander, got a little bit of shape away from him, and he just played away from his body, Tiramani, and he didn't need to, he could have left that ball. But because of that angle into the left hand around the wicket, it was very clever bowling from Jimmy Anderson. It made him think twice. And especially after that lunch break, he would have been hoping to just get bat on ball and get us that 50. So very good bowling from Jimmy Anderson. And let's then move on to, as you said, Chandemal got out from Mark Wood. But before that, there was a really, really impressive performance by Chandemal and Angelo Mathews. So a partnership of 117. Arangan, what do you think of that partnership?
Yeah, it was exactly what Sri Lanka were missing in the first test, to be honest. So good batting from Angelo Mathews. They just kind of quietly went about their batting. They didn't really play any loose or stupid shots. Mathews pushed on and made a good score. Tiramani looks like he's getting into form. He looks like he's sort of got the bit between his teeth. He's getting good scores now. He'll be disappointed not to have got to his 50. Really good batting from Chandemal as well to support Angelo Mathews. But it's exactly what Sri Lanka were missing in the first test, just the right attitude from the start and really a good response to losing a few wickets.
Well said, Sean. Sweet, but I like that. Okay, yeah, as you said, Angelo Mathews was terrific today. Before we go on to that, though, I should touch upon Wood. Venu, Mark Wood did get a hint of reverse swing, I thought, throughout today. Well, the back end or latter parts of the day, anyways. As Michael Atherton pointed out, he wasn't getting the type of reverse swing that you associate with Waqar Younis or Wasim Akram back in the day when they were the kind of the trailblazers for it. But he was getting enough that it would make batsmen think twice about what line to play. I do think that pace is a little bit of a factor in the subcontinent to get that extra bit of reverse swing. I don't think James Anderson has that kind of really quick action through the ball someone like Mark Wood does. Maybe that was a factor. But what do you think of his spell? I mean, he bowled 17 overs, 2 maidens for 47, economy of 2.76, only picked up the 1 wicket. So you might look at that and think, okay, decent. I don't think it quite reflects how well he bowled, as you like to put an enforcer. And he got that really vital breakthrough of Chandemal on 52. So first of all, what do you think of the spell and also that wicket as well? Because he got a bit of reverse swing to trap him, LBW there.
Yeah, I thought he bowled well today, considering I think he bowled a spell that was 8 overs long. I may be wrong. So clearly, and you got to think it's really hot, really, really hot in Sri Lanka. Like when I went there, I wouldn't go out when the sun's out, and these guys are playing cricket, and fair play to Wood to do that and keep the intensities up, and bowling 90 plus miles an hour, and I thought he set up Chandemal very well, and it was a key wicket. So the key breakthrough when it looked like Sri Lanka were they were batting, Mathews and Chandemal were kind of taking the game away from England, and that wicket kind of brought the game back to England. So key wicket in a key moment of the test.
100%. Very briefly before we move on from that, I thought he used the crease really well. I should point this out to me earlier as well, and I agreed with him that I think it was similar to a dismissal we saw Carl Jamieson, I think, in the New Zealand tour to Mohammad Rizwan, where he used the crease well. He went wider of the crease, bowling that angle, maybe not as straight as he would because you're bowling wider of the crease, but you let the reverse swing or the swing do the talking there. And he did. He bowled a bit fuller, trusted himself to get that little bit of reverse swing and trapped Chandemal really well, I thought. In terms of Angelo Mathews' 100, I thought that was really, really impeccable. So first I'm going to go to Arangan as Sri Lankan, then I'll come to you from an England point of view. But that 100 from Angelo Mathews, Arangan, how impressive was that?
Yeah, I think it was really what the side needed, especially once Thirumanni got out, sort of looking to someone to bring the team back up. He coming into it beforehand, he hasn't really been scoring that well, but he got a good score in the first test, and it's good that he's pushed on. It's really important, especially lower down the order, to keep it going. So Chandemal, who's stand-in captain, also kind of keeping up the rear guard as well. The one thing I would say though, despite how well Angelo Mathews played, is just because of Sri Lanka's depth, you feel that that last wicket in the day with Mark Wood is really, really important, because they've got Dick Weller in at the moment and then Mendes. So you feel if England took early wickets tomorrow morning, they could quite easily skittle Sri Lanka out for less than 300, and then it's still anyone's game at that point. But going back to what Venu said as well, especially the heat for the England players, if you're out there, especially you could see it on Mark Wood's face, to be honest, if you're out there, you're bowling all day, it's in the sun, you're sweating, the batsmen are just not giving you anything, and it's just torture essentially. And if Angelo Mathews is still in tomorrow and you sort of wake up and you still have to bowl to him again, then it can really, they can take it away from England if they play well and they keep their composure.
Yeah, they have to weather the storm. Go on, Manny.
Are you finished, Arangan? They finished your point. Okay, I just wanted to add to Arangan because I wanted to say a few words about Angelo Mathews, if I'm allowed to. Yeah, good.
You're allowed to. Permission granted.
Good. So I'd like to add, because Mathews seems to have a knack of scoring runs against England. So this was his third 100 against England. His first 100 against England in Sri Lanka. His previous two. There's the Headingley epic. You need to look at his fantastic Headingley innings that I think saved Sri Lanka the match. We may have won Sri Lanka the match at Headingley, but he has a knack for scoring runs against England. His third 100 against England, 650s against England. He's averaging, I think now, over 45, and only, in terms of all the countries he scored runs to, Pakistan is first place where he scored the most runs, and then now England is now second place. So he seems to like scoring runs against England, as the stats prove, and there's a really good knock from Mathews, and has given Sri Lanka some sort of control in this Test match, which they didn't really have in the first Test match because of that poor performance in the first innings. So I'm glad that if Sri Lanka can get 350 plus, they're in the game. But as Arangan said, if England especially take Angelo Mathews quickly in the morning tomorrow, then skill them out for under 300, then probably advantage England. So I'm looking forward to the first hour tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. Angelo Mathews, I think at one point he actually averaged just shy of 50. I think it was 49.6 or something. I remember doing a video with you, Venu, actually, when I first started the channel. I think, Arangan, you're right. I think he's been in pretty poor form just before his injury and just after. But now this 100 seems to have put him back, hopefully, to where he should be, because he's a class act. And average now has dropped down to 45, but hopefully it will continue to rise again back to where it should be. Still a really incredible average, to be fair. Let's then move on to England's spinners. Ashtad, what do you think? No wickets for them today. How do you think they bowled?
Can I touch upon Angelo Mathews as well? Because I thought he was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, you can.
Because honestly, I know I'm pro-England in this discussion, but right now all I can think is I didn't see him make any mistakes in this innings. It was similar to, Joe Root's innings in the last game, where it was hard to find flaws. He respected James Anderson. He smashed Mark Wood because he was bowling really quick. He guided him down wherever he needed to, using his pace. And the spinners, the biggest difference in this innings and the one that he made in the previous one, the 70 or 71 that he scored, it was off of 210 or 211 balls. And the ball that got him out got spun like crazy from Jack Leach. Here, the ball isn't spinning much, right? There are certain ones that spin a bit more than you expect, but in general, they're not spinning that much. So they're basically ineffective right now, right? All they're getting is swept around or easily driven. So never was Angelo Mathews looking rushed, or it looked like he was uncomfortable against the spin. So I think the only person he did feel, it looked like that he felt a little uncomfortable with, was Anderson, who he left very well. He didn't feel the need to play him every time, respected his bowling, but the rest, I think he just batted brilliantly. Now onto the spin.
Before
I
you,
think Dom-
before you say about the spin, actually, just to quickly add, I think everyone wants to talk about Angelo Mathews, but very quickly on him, they tried to employ a leg slip for him because he's quite strong on the leg side, and Mark Wood, I think he tried to trap him there, similar to how the Australians did, well, the Indians did with Australia with Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne, but unfortunately it didn't quite work because Mark Wood was bowling a little bit too leg side, and I think he could have bowled a bit less straight, more off stump, full stump, and then tried to just quite ease there. But he got a bit trigger happy there. But yeah, go on to the spinners.
Yeah, just on your point then, Fazan, in terms of the reverse that Mark Wood was getting, I think that was really useful if the plans worked, if they did exactly what you were saying. But he was straying down the leg side too much, so Mathews could squeeze it past that fielder rather than hitting it straight to him. So yeah, in terms of the spinners, I think, again, I always say this, Jack Leach bowled so much better than Dom Bess, but the figures don't show anything this show. They both didn't get wickets and they didn't get it for too many runs. But I personally thought that, again, Jack Leach bowled very well. He did beat the bat a lot more than Dom Bess, but that's obviously because he's bowling against right-handers a lot more. It's a lot easier in that case. But personally, I thought Jack Leach bowled well. I think, did he bowl more overs than Dom Bess? Earlier on, I think Dom Bess bowled more, and then
he bowled 4 more, than Dom Bess.
4 more. So that's not that many, but as you imagine, in Galle, usually spinners bowl loads of overs. But in this instance, I think James Anderson bowled almost 20 overs, Wood bowled almost 20 overs, and the spinners, as you said, both bowled around about 20 overs. What you expect from spinners in Sri Lanka is they'll be bowling 25, 30 overs in a day, and the pace bowlers won't come into action as much. But as you can tell, even the way the bowling has been distributed, the captain's not, it doesn't have faith in the spinners as much as the Sri Lankan captain does in theirs. So I think they bowled okay, nothing special, to be honest.
Yeah, not attacking enough, I don't think. Okay, is there anything else anyone wants to touch upon before we wrap up here? I think, are we all in agreement that 229 for 4 is probably advantage Sri Lanka? I'd say after day one.
I'll say slightly Sri Lanka, but if England take a couple of quick wickets tomorrow, then it's all England's.
Yeah, of course. But I think judging on just day one, considering Angelo Mathews on 100 not out, and Dickwell is on 19, so it's not like he's faced 60 balls. So
I think it's hard to say that advantage Sri Lanka completely. So I think Ben was right, maybe slightly. And because of that wicket of Chandemal, if that didn't fall, it'd be completely Sri Lanka. But because of that wicket, I think it just changed, at least in my perspective, it changed the entire state of the innings.
Okay.
The spinners will come into the game maybe a bit more day 2 or day 3 as the pitch starts to wear down a bit.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. I think that's where Leach and Best tomorrow are going to have to step up. So if they bowl how they bowl today, I think, Sri Lanka may get onto a decent total. So let's see. I don't want to jinx it. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for being on. As always, Venu, Ashtra from Cricket4Us 2.0, and Arangan. We'll see whether hopefully we can get a full house for tomorrow as well. But if not, thank you very much, guys, for being on. And stay safe, guys, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much.